I'm here with John Brown, and we're in what part of the world, John?
We're in Thurmond, West Virginia.
Yes.
Which is in the heart of coal country, part of coal country down in West Virginia, on the main line of the C&O that used to run between Chicago and, of course, Newport, West Virginia,
Mm-hmm.
So it was the main line. It's kind of gone down a little bit since all the mergers and that, CSX now.
Yes.
But they still have coal trains going through, not as many as they used to.
Now, this model railroad, how long have you been working on it?
Probably about 1999, I guess, I started.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I fell in love with the coal trains. And I was modeling hopper cars at the time, and the C&O Historical Society, I wrote them and asked them, is the Athearn cars a true replica of the C&O cars? And they said, yes, they were. And so I started modeling C&O, and I joined the C&O Historical Society. And the very first couple of months, they had the Alleghenies on the front cover, and that was it. I just blew my mind away. The 2666s and the Malays that do the coal mines and stuff like that. That we didn't have that in Canada, so it was really impressive. So I got rid of all the CPR stuff and went to C&O.
Now, I'm sure long before that you had an interest in model railroading.
Well, yes, my dad started me with Lionel, obviously, back in 1945, I guess it was. He came home with Lionel under the Christmas tree. So
yeah.
But that just carried on until I went to Philadelphia in '64 and came home with Casey Jones' 10-wheeler.
Yes.
And, of course, my dad said that was HO scale. And he said, so where's that going to run? I said, well, Dad, you can't put them together. Oh, you can't? And that was the deciding point to switch over from Lionel into HO.
My gosh, and that, so what, this layout then is obviously not your first layout. You must have done several before that.
This is about my third, I guess. The first one was, of course, in my parents' basement.
Yeah.
And then I had one when we moved up in '79, about '75 we moved up. I had one in the basement.
Mm-hmm.
And when I built the house, I didn't make the 8-foot ceilings. I only made a little over 6. And all my buddies are over 6 foot. I don't know why, but they're all over 6 foot.
Yeah.
And Marilyn, my wife, said that maybe it's time that you move the layout someplace else. So she said, I need a craft room. Why don't you put a room over the garage? I said, okay, that'd be okay.
Mm-hmm.
So she said, I guess if the trains went there, it'd be done faster. To make the long story short, the trains are up here, but her craft room has never been done yet. So I'm still waiting for that to be done, but of course she's into the computers now, so she doesn't need a craft room now.
So you had to redesign your whole house in order to accommodate your railroad up here above the garage?
No, just add on over the garage at the time.
Yeah. So what's the size of the room?
20 by 26.
20 by 26.
Yeah.
And so over the period of time, where did you get the skill sets to think about building this railroad?
Good question. I just decided what I wanted to model, and I laid everything out as I went along. I started with the ferry system here.
Yes.
At the time, that still can be taken portable to model railroad shows.
Right.
There's a part out of the garage and the part here.
Yeah.
And that was the original starting point, and I just worked my way around from the ferry over through the peninsula here and around the layout. Then eventually, this was the last spot that had to be tied in, was up through over through here, over through the Mill River Gorge and that.
So the railroad is continuous running possibilities?
Yes. Yeah, it runs continuous running for open houses, which we have, of course, every September when the Muskoka boys come up, or the Muskoka tour.
But I also noticed that you have car cards here, so you must have an operating system as well.
Yes, we have. I'm lucky I have 12 guys and a young lady come out.
Yeah.
The wife of one of the guys, John Spring and Laura Spring, come out.
Right.
And we have about 3 to 3.5 hours of operating session.
That's pretty good.
There's no schedule. They took off the train when it's their turn, or when the next one is available, they take it out. I'm not one for scale time and all that, because I find that just a waste of time sometimes, in my point of view, trying to do something in a period of time. I just rather pick a layout and go. I've been to some layouts too, where I've seen myself sit for 2-3 hours before I get the next train, because they model the railroad as it really was.
Right.
So of course, obviously, you have got no train until between 1 o'clock and 5 o'clock. You got no trains that they're running. So you got 4 guys, and you're all sitting around watching videos. And that does not appeal to
So
me
when
that
you
way.
have the group in here, there's a lot of trains running in a small space at the same time?
I would think so. Yeah, usually about maybe 5 trains at once.
Yeah.
I usually try to have 5 operators. There's Callow up on to your behind your back there, and then the boat ferry. The boat ferry has 1 guy working. Thurmond has 2, and of course Callow has 2 yard guys. So there's 5 guys in the yards that I must need all the time.
So there's a bit of history, though, in your railroad. There's always selective compression and the like, but this is pretty much close to a prototype scene, I guess, eh?
This is in Thurmond, West Virginia.
Yeah.
The coaling tower is still standing. Mind you, shorn of all the metal work. The 3 buildings you see are still standing, but more or less now just historic sites.
Right.
The commissary here is still standing in the back. The passenger station has been rebuilt. It was falling apart, and it is now the home of the New River Gorge, what do you want to call it, the association for the valley and that.
These are all scratch built, I guess, these buildings, eh? So where did you learn about scratch build modeling?
Oh, just picked it up.
Yeah. Other modelers in the area here? Or?
Yes, I have Ron Colfitz in Aurelia, a few other guys, and I have Eric Roth from Paul's Corners up in Halliburton area. John Spring and his wife come up from Beaton, and I have Bill Garraway comes up from Leswell's.
This is a pretty unusual structure. There seems to be a lot more of it below the roof line and storage areas. What's the cribbing?
The cribbing was built when filled with rocks and riprap and that,
Yeah.
because the New River was prone to flood up to the bottom of the bridge
I
many
see.
years in the spring and that. And of course that would wash against those buildings. And that was built for security, so that, and as far as I know of, it never got washed away.
So it's coal companies?
Oh, there would be 4 or 5 coal companies up there.
I see.
For a while, Thurmond was the highest for profit area in the old C&O back in the 30s.
Right.
That beat out any other town on the line for revenue. And of course, at the end of the 30s, then it started wanting out. We still have coal up there running.
Yep.
R.J. Corman does it now out of
Yes.
Beckley almost. But like I said, once again, coal is, as we all know, is down a little bit right now.
In the concept of the railroad, this is sort of the center point in this town, and
Yes.
everything else branches out from that. If I'm looking at the tunnel down at the end there, where does that go to?
That would go towards Charleston, West Virginia.
Okay.
And of course, eventually Cincinnati, then on to Chicago.
Okay, so this end of the railroad goes in which direction?
It goes eastbound, and it would go to Newport, Virginia. And of course, before that, we would get to Hinton, West Virginia, and of course the graded Allegheny.
Okay, so which way are we going to head, east or west?
You'd be heading east.
Okay, let's go east. So we're now in the next small area that's as we go east.
This is Meadow Creek.
Okay, and
And
what's
that's
the
the-
significance of
That's
Meadow Creek?
MD Tower, and you had the branch line that went up to Rainelle,
Okay.
West Virginia, and that was part of the C&O and New York Central lines that were merged up there back in the 30s. And there was a lot of lumber up there that came down, and also mainly coal.
So that branch line is modeled then, and it goes up
Yes.
through that tunnel,
Yes, it goes up to my little town of Coal Town, Callow.
and that's on a second level on
Yes.
the layout.
Yes.
Okay, I notice that the trestles in the back are quite substantial. Those are all scratch built, I take it.
Yes, and actually there's maybe about 3 feet missing from that trestle. I ran out of space with the curvature to get the radius in there, and of course the line to go up to Callow, like I said, so I had to chop off about 3 feet of that trestle, which, well, maybe 2 feet at the moment, which upset me.
So now as things go east, you're heading into a tunnel,
Yes.
and where's our next stop?
I don't model it, but you'd be running into Hinton, West Virginia. It's the staging I have, which is under the layout.
Down under here.
Yeah, hang on a second, I'll turn the lights on for you.
So, like every model railroad that operates efficiently, you have staging under there. So
Yes.
it headed east into staging. That particular staging ended, I take it's double-ended as well. It receives trains from the other end as well, from the west?
If you're going west, you'd be going to the town of Russell, Kentucky.
Okay.
Eastbound, you'd be going into Hinton, West Virginia.
And that's all controlled from this panel here?
It's half the panel.
Okay. The other half is at the other end,
Yes.
obviously.
Yes. This is the panel for westbound trains.
Okay.
For the on and off track power. Mind you, still have your switches here because you're working into this area. There's 6 tracks in there, 3 for the eastbound, 3 for the westbound, and they hold about 20 cars, 20 40-foot cars I can get on in those tracks.
So that's a rather short tour going east. I guess if we went west, we would see the rest of the layout if we went the other way from your starting point.
From Thurmond, yes.
From Thurmond? Let's do that. So leaving west from Thurmond then, the train heads through and into a tunnel.
Yes.
And that comes out where?
It comes out to a
higher level? So it's on a sort of a grade, then it goes up grade?
Yes, we're heading up grade. This is Wilson I have on the layout here.
Right.
The C&O was double tracked all the way pretty well from east to west.
Yeah.
And I didn't have room for double track, so we single track from Wilson to Mayersdale.
Okay.
So that's why you're going into a tunnel for single track, and we have block signals at the one end to make sure at the both ends so you don't have a head-on collision.
So if I go around the other side, I'll see obviously the other end of that tunnel coming out.
Yes.
Let's do that. And we entered a tunnel just down over here, and we go.
The tunnel's over here.
Yes.
That has nothing to do with it.
No, I understand. But that's
Okay.
where I was pointing, and then the
All
track
behind the
actually proceeds above
Behind the
this
scenery. Yes.
above this tunnel,
Yes.
behind the scenery, and then comes out here. So that's what kind of grade is that then?
About 1%.
1%. So that's pretty gradual.
Yes.
So in designing that, it must have been quite a chore to think that through in terms of getting to where you want to be at the next level.
Yes.
Yeah, that's interesting. And then this bridge here looks familiar.
Central Valley.
Central Valley.
Microengineering.
Yeah. Chesapeake in Ohio.
This is over the town of Waynesburg.
Okay.
This is on the branch line.
So would that be like that in reality as well?
Sometimes, but not very often, no.
Okay.
The branch lines up to the coal mine were pretty well by themselves.
Right.
You would never, the main line never really went over to all of a coal mine. It was only, if anything, would be the branch line would be going up it, but it would be beside it.
Right. So in reality, all of what you see below is really in another part of the railroad.
Yes.
Okay. So we continue up grade here, and wow, it's almost up to chin high here.
You've leveled off now.
Okay.
And once you get around the corner, this is Hanson.
Mm-hmm.
And now we start going down grade. A little siding here for the way freight to work.
Yeah. Hi, Ron. You're sitting low in the corner down there, smiling.
I was trying to keep out of your photo angle.
Oh, well,
This is
you're well into it.
This is where our double track begins again.
Okay, so it's coming down grade here?
Down grade, yes. And this is Mayersdale.
Mayersdale.
Yeah. Almost something like Mayersdale, Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, it's more or less modeled after the clinch field at Spears Ferry.
Okay. So you have a track that's not powered. It's a dummy, but to create the effect of the area, I guess. Because that's what you would see in reality in this scene. And then we have another tower.
Yes.
And into the tunnels.
LVMA tower. I've got a name on it. Yeah, LVMA.
And this splits into 3 tracks here. What?
Yes. To the left is the Clinchfield connection.
Right.
Of which, for many years, I used to go down to Gant, Virginia, and we ride the coal trains with a couple of crews.
Yes.
And so I modeled the Clinchfield. Just a short little staging track that comes in out of nowhere.
Okay.
But it allows me to have an interchange with the Clinchfield.
Very nice. And a double track main going into the tunnel.
And you come out onto your left.
The double track's coming out here?
Yes. Now this is the town of Roland, West Virginia. Once
Roland,
again,
West
nothing
Virginia.
really in West Virginia is named Roland.
Right.
But nothing worse than modeling a town, and it's not really what it is in reality. So I've kept away from that, except for Thurmond, which is
Yes.
it's 80%. I've just had to shorten down Thurmond from what it should be.
I noticed that you have a combination of plastic structures here that you've upgraded a bit with some photograph stuff in the
Yeah.
windows and the like to give it some life.
Yes.
It looks really nice. And the station?
That's a kit, a blower craft.
Very nice. Yeah, and that's the colors of the C&O, basically?
Yes, there were 3 grays.
Yeah.
A light gray, a medium gray, and a dark gray. Dark gray was more or less the window trimming, and the bottom, very bottom kick panel around the bottom of and the light gray was the doors, and once again the windows, and the regular medium gray was the regular structure.
Mm-hmm. And of course, during that time people place, there's lots of passenger traffic and people at the station waiting to catch their trains.
And the order boards work.
Ah, yes, fantastic.
That's Tomars.
Yeah, they're very nice, aren't they? Yeah.
Very expensive because you need 2 tortoise switch machines, and you got to buy this 2 circuitrons to activate them. So
Yeah.
you're looking at about $160, probably more than that for one nowadays. I think the semaphores, I think, are $80 to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, nowadays they're developing Arduino technologies too. It's sort of a new computer-based system where they're less expensive, that do the same thing, sort of single functions of operating motors up and down at certain speeds. And
well, I have a cheaper one back at the MA Tower there. If you want to turn around, I can show you
All right.
what have we done with it. You want to show them how it works? Anyways, and I got this idea from a gentleman in Upper Canada,
Mm-hmm.
and he modeled one. And what he does is he has one order board up and one order board for stop. And what he does is, if you want, you can turn it around. So now you've got for one cheap signal, you've got 2 aspects that you can. Mind you, my crews don't stop there. Sometimes they forget that it's the stop order.
It's what they call the 050 signaling system.
Yes.
Eh? Very nice. So we're going into a tunnel, and
This
we're
will
on
take us
to.
into Russell, Kentucky.
All right.
And of course, once again, we're in staging now.
Yes. And this is that the west end there of entering staging.
The west end of Hinton, in reality,
Yes.
yes, and the east end of
Yeah.
Russell. So in the day, the gentleman would take a train from here and head east,
Mm-hmm.
and he'd come back in, and he'd come back on the same track he is, but of course, he'd be entering Russell.
Yeah.
Actually, coming into Russell, yes, but into Hinton to begin with, and
Well,
then crossing over the invisible barrier.
I guess so. The trick with the railroad here is you've got a fairly solid main line, continuous running on a certain level, but you've also got all of these branches that go off to some very interesting coal areas. I guess is that the way it's built. So you've got
Yeah.
coal mines feeding
Yep.
into the main.
We have two trains, about 18 cars that are empty.
Mm-hmm.
And their first step is to come out of staging here,
Yeah.
and they'll go up to Callow. And once they're in Callow, then that's where, just like the C&O,
Yeah.
they come to a main coal yard, and there the cars will be broken up and be off to the separate
To the
mines.
mines.
Yeah.
So where's the main entrance then, as far as where it goes up to these mines? Where does
Thurmond.
it start? At Thurmond again?
Yes.
Yeah.
We have a coal spot here. Here, take over. Now, entering the tunnel, if he had a red signal, he'd have to phone the dispatcher and ask for clearance and have the switch thrown, so he had a green, which he has already, so dispatcher's aware of him that he's on the move. September.